Muhammad, that like his life was being documented for all of us to take as an instruction manual. So when we look to the example of the Prophet, we don't just look to it as like, yeah, he was kind of this cool smart guy, right? One time I was in a public school and someone was like, who's Muhammad? And someone was like, yeah, he's this cool guy. It's like, that's pretty cool, right? And it's cool that they said that he's cool, but also realize that he's not just like some very wise elder. This guy he was the man, right? He was the manliest of men. And that's why, and he was also the most human of all humans. And that's why not only men can take from his example, but women can as well. So when we look at something like, love, don't sneeze again, please. When we look at something like love, we have to look at the example of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was merciful. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We did not send you except that you were merciful on people. We see that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he understood love. He knew what love was about. He knew that the human beings, we have hearts that we can't control sometimes, right? We're going to talk about that though. And so before we get started in talking about how the Prophet ﷺ lived as a person who loved, we have to understand that he understood love. He knew what love was about. When we want to ask for advice on love, who do you go to? Dr. Phil, Oprah, right? All these people. Because why? Oh, they get it. They understand love, right? The Prophet ﷺ understood love more than any of these people did. So the Prophet ﷺ, he got it. And we see this. We see that he got it. Oftentimes you see that people will come and they'll complain to like imams and stuff like that. I'm sure Shaykh Saab and Hafiz Saab have gotten this a lot. That they'll say, like, I want my wife to be like Aisha, right? When I read stories of the Prophet, man, he would say it and she'd just do it, right? Clean, she's like, how much, right? It's like, but then you often hear, and I'm sure Shaykh Saab has kind of said this in a very nice way, because he looks big, he looks scary, but he's a soft guy, right? If someone wants their wife to be like Aisha, then maybe we should start being like more like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? The reaction and the reciprocation that he got from her was only because of the akhlaq that he had, right? The perfection of character that he had. And you see this in stories. The Prophet ﷺ was once in his masjid. And his masjid, by the way, it was kind of like this, where there's like a big room and there was like a wall in between. And he just lived, his house was one side of that wall, right? So imagine there was like a wall here, and this was his house, and this was the masjid, right? So one day, there's a bunch of Abyssinian young men, they're dancing in the masjid, they're doing like their Abyssinian dance. I don't really know like how it goes, don't ask me. I'm not really quite Abyssinian, I'm more Egyptian, little north. But they were doing this dance, this demonstration. And they were not like young boys. They were younger men, older boys, right? And Aisha radiallahu anha, she says, she sees this as interesting, right? And at this time, she's not old, right? She's a younger lady. And she says, I want to go watch that. I want to go see what they're doing, right? Oftentimes you're driving on a road trip or you're going somewhere, and the wife or the husband or whatever sees the bill, oh, can we stop? Ripley's Believe It or Not, right? 10-foot snail, oh my God, right? Like, escargot, right? And so you see that and you're just like, oh my gosh, why? We always have to stop everywhere we go you want to stop, all these things, right? So the Prophet ﷺ, she asks him, and oftentimes the response from a typical Muslim husband is like, if you want to, fine, right? And then the wife's like, no, I don't want to. It's like, why? I said yes. Like, no, if you say it like that, and then fights happen, right? No biryani tonight for dinner, only dal and chawal, right? But the Prophet ﷺ said, sure, no problem. No problem, let's go watch. So they went to watch. I need to demonstrate this. This can't be told. Usam, can you come here? I know. It's okay.
I'm only going because Mawlana Nasser said.
It's a good thing about having the same teacher. Yes. So the Prophet ﷺ, okay, keep in mind, neither one of us are perfect, or neither one of us are like Aisha or Muhammad ﷺ, but just for the sake of demonstration, we're going to pretend. So you'll be in the place of Aisha, okay? No, of Muhammad ﷺ, and I'll be in the place of Aisha. I'm really comfortable with my masculinity and my manhood, so I'm cool with this, okay? So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he's standing in front, right? Because obviously the young men are dancing and he wants his wife to be a little more kind of like covered a little bit. She can look, but he doesn't want her to be in plain sight. And what does she do? She's narrating. This is Aisha. This is the wife of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, right? Right? She goes, I leaned up and put my chin on his shoulder. And then the narration says, what? Touch. My cheek was touching his cheek. How romantic is that? Right? No. What more do you want? Listen, hold on, wait. No, you're not going there. Yeah. Right? So she said, my cheek was touching his cheek. Check this out. What happens, husbands? What happens? No one answer over here. Husbands, when you're at a place for a long time, like an art museum or something, like your wife wanted to go, and you're like, I just wanted to go to like get some food, right? What happens? What question do you ask? Are you done yet? Can we go now? Right? So Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he asks.
Are you done yet?
Nope. Right?
This is what happened.
This is what happened. Literally, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam goes, can we go now? He said, are you finished? She said, no, I'm not done yet. Then again, he asked later on, do it.
Are you done?
And she said, nope, not done yet. Then one more time.
He says, are you done?
And she says, now I'm done, right? And she left. Remember the whole time. And keep in mind, by the way, that like she was shorter than the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so she can't fit her chin on his shoulder. Like it's not going to work, right? So she has to tip up on her tippy toes. Now, when you're on your tippy toes, is it very easy to balance yourself?
No.
If you have extremely strong legs like me, yes. But if you're like most normal human beings, then you probably have to do something like this, right?
Yes.
Hold on, either in the arms or the shoulders. This is the image of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his wife. Later on, thank you, Jazakallah khair, I appreciate it. After, check this out. You guys think that was nice? After the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had passed away, and she's telling this hadith, she said, Wallahi, I swear by God, I had no interest in watching those people dancing.
Allah.
She goes, I just wanted my face to be on his face.
Allah.
Eat that, the Notebook, right? Ryan Gosling ain't got nothing on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Everyone, send praise upon Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.